Good morning and Happy New Year. It's wonderful to see you all this morning. Yes, thank you very much. I'm glad to have entered the new year with you. First, I want to say thank you to everyone who made the rabbi, our guest speaker, feel so welcome last week. Whether you were here in person or whether you watched online, when he left the sanctuary last week, he immediately wrote to me and said, "Your congregation is so welcoming, so warm. Thank you for making our guests feel like they belong. And thank you for honoring him. He has served our community for 20 years. And you know that we are in a time, once again, of rising anti-Semitism. To be in a church in the Deep South that embraces its community's rabbi is a really big deal. Thank you for making him feel so welcome." When I was coming into church this morning, I was met by person after person with ideas. And programs, and resolutions, and new groups to form, and also needs, and concerns, and worries. We bring it all here, and we welcome all of that energy to connect it, to sort out the puzzle of our lives, and try to build something really beautiful and meaningful together. Here at the start of the new year, when we are bursting with energy and anxiety, come back with me to just the fundamentals of living together. Breathe with me for just a moment. Breathe with me. And now let's sing.
Good morning. My name is Tonya Bauer, and I serve on the Board of Trustees of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spartanburg. Yay! Happy New Year. It is my delight to welcome you all this morning, whether you are here at UUCS or virtually. This is a welcoming congregation where everyone is welcome just as you are. There are many important announcements at the back of your bulletin this morning. Please open your bulletin to see all that you can be a part of. Allow me to share a few now. Welcome, visitors. If you are visiting with us this morning, we would love to meet you to share more about the life of this congregation. Visitors' cards may be found in the pocket on the back of the tray in front of you. Please feel welcome to fill one out and place it in the offering plate during the service so we can connect with you. Get ready for UUCS MLK Day of service activities. On Monday, January 16th, we will meet at the church to honor Martin Luther King Jr. and everyone who leads us in building the beloved community with our service. Come join in this wonderful time for fellowship and meaningful ways to support our community. This month, Share the Plate will also support our partnership with Carver Middle School. At 11 a.m., there's the packing of toiletry and school items. This will be in Wild Hall. Most of our fun work will be for the students of Carver Middle School. Your generous gifts on Christmas Eve and through Share the Plate this month will fund the work we will do on January 16th and also support Carver Middle School throughout this school year. You can also bring items to the box in the fellowship hall, or just come to work. We will be buying supplies with the money you all have already donated. We will pack individual toiletries bags, sock bags, school supplies bags, and more. Look for more details in today's Connect. The most important thing to bring is yourself. At 11 a.m., we also have the MLK litter sweep. Unless it's raining, meet in the fellowship hall. We'll tidy up our church grounds, Wheeler Court, and other nearby streets. We'll collect litter and data, sharing our results with congregation and the South Carolina Aquarium. Data contributes to awareness and the possibilities for change. Gloves, grabbers, garbage bags, and data equipment are provided. Hope to see you there. Cake and Bubbles on Sunday, January 29th at 12 p.m. in Wild Hall. Come for cake and bubbles, champagne and sparkling juice bubbles to launch our annual fund campaign for the next fiscal year. Our individual contributions are all different and unique, but it's when we come together to support our beloved community that the picture is complete. Thank you for making this place of warmth and kindness every time we gather, across all of our differences. Thank you, everyone, for all you do and all you give to make this world more livable for every one of us. Welcome today.
And I, too, get to tell you good morning and Happy New Year. My name is Robin Carter, and I serve as the co-chair for this year's annual fund drive, along with my amazing co-chair, Amanda Richardson, who has, no joke, who has also taken the helm as stewardship chair. As you may recall, every January, we begin thinking about and planning for the budget for next fiscal year. We are hosting the kickoff party, Cake and Bubbles, that Tonya has already shared with you, after church, Sunday, January 29th. So make sure you mark your calendars, you're here that day, and watch your mailboxes and inboxes for more information to come this month. To lead into that event, we're sharing videos every Sunday this month from some of our members. Huge thanks to Amanda for her vision and interviewing skills, and to Alan Jenkins for his video editing talents, who put the series of videos together for us to enjoy. The theme for the campaign is Piece by Piece. And for you jigsaw puzzle lovers, this will certainly resonate with you. Each piece of a jigsaw puzzle is unique. There is no replacement piece in any box. Each and every piece matters because every piece contributes to the overall picture, and without each piece in place, the picture is incomplete. Your contribution matters. You matter. You fit here. Hear now from Colin and Tonya Bauer, the first in our series, about how and why they contribute their piece of the larger puzzle that is our beloved community.
Yeah, so Unitarians are great, especially this church, about grabbing onto someone and not letting go.
I love coming and interacting with the people. I love how people are able to come in and be themselves. It feels like a place where you feel a sense of belonging. You enter, people are so kind, and they weren't fake. They were sincere. And our daughter attends the Sunday school. You refer to it as a Sunday school. The education my daughter is receiving is helping her be a better individual for society.
Something that we were really, really proud of here at the Unitarian Church is the OWL program, Our Whole Lives. Having the opportunity as parents to be able to talk about sexuality, talk about health, understanding that what identity is, and not only from a gender perspective, but from sexuality, that is extremely imperative.
I also like how they help different, like the immigrants. I'm an immigrant coming from Grenada, and the way the church helps them with people coming in, like the Ukrainians, being able to get what they need, the homes, like the housing, the materials they need to help them adjust to a new country means a lot to me.
I really believe that this church is centered around social justice. Not only do we have other incredible things that we do, but when we see a wrong, this church is willing to say, this is wrong, and let's have a deeper conversation.
And I love how Scott touches on different issues in society. He doesn't shy away from it. And being able to be in a church where we're going to take this on, we're going to take the bull by its horn. I love that.
We want greater change.
Congregation going. Yeah.
We want greater change. Mm-hmm. And we believe that we can be a piece of that.
So I give to help others.
You cannot, have incredible services and programs without the financial backing to be able to do that.
And we are all different people coming together. We all came from different backgrounds. We all are bringing different things, all different resources all together. So by all of us coming together somewhere, somehow, we're going to connect the pieces.
Good morning. My name is Paula Swaney, and Mel Fritchie and I will be serving together as your worship associates this morning. As we light our chalice this morning, we reflect on and maybe synchronize our breathing with the words of Breathing In by Thich Nhat Hanh. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Breathing in, I notice my breath has become deeper. Breathing out, I notice my breath has become slower. Breathing in, I calm myself. Breathing out, I realize I feel at ease. Breathing in, I smile. Breathing out, I release. Breathing in, I dwell in the present moment. Breathing out, I feel it is a wonderful moment.
Do you hear, oh my friend, in the place where you stand, in the sky, in the land? Do you hear?
Number 112.
Do you hear in the heights on the plains, in the vale on the main, in the sun, in the rain? Do you hear? Do you hear? Through the roar, through the rush, through the strong, through the crush, do you hear in the hush of my soul, of your soul? Hear the cry can't still, hear the heart's all too will, hear the sigh's startling trill. Do you hear? Do you hear? From the place where you stand to the outermost strand, do you hear, oh my friend? Do you hear, do you hear? In the dreams, all the dares, all the sighs, all the prayers, they are yours, mine and theirs. Do you hear, do you hear?
I was walking with a young friend this week, and he was asking me very earnest questions about my spiritual journey as he is trying to figure out his. And we talked about that, and I found myself saying, really the most important part of my church and my journey is being with community. We are a community. We share ideas. We share hopes. We share our talents. We share our gifts. We share our joys. We share our concerns. We come here each week to be with one another. It is our tradition to share our joys and our concerns by coming forward and placing a stone or a shell in the rippling bowl to represent being here with one another and holding these things for one another. A covenant is an agreement. It's an agreement put together by a group of people about how they want to be. Scott asked us to get back to the fundamentals. These are the fundamentals. They are not easy words. But we have come together and are doing our best week after week to live out this truth. Please join me in saying the words of our covenant. We are a people of faith and hope. Together we covenant to strive to become our better selves, to honor both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean divisiveness, and to respond to systems of violence and oppression with a power of a love beyond belief. We spent last month thinking about joy. One of my greatest joys, which I understand to just be a spark, not a constant state of being, but a moment, a wonderful moment. One of my great sources of joy is greeting my people. This is a time in our service when those of us who are sparked by that joy may greet one another, and those of us who are not sparked by that joy may sit quietly in their seat and meditate, breathing in and breathing out. I would like to welcome Taffy. Taffy is with us, I think for the first time, is that right? Third time, okay, but recently. Taffy is with us to, now this is an important piece that I didn't talk with you ahead of time. At some point, we have to get all of these people out of their seats, back in their seats. So you're gonna start playing, and many of them are gonna ignore you, and then you play louder and louder, and then you begin threatening music, and eventually they all come back. Go!
Part of the purpose of our congregation is to be a good neighbor in this neighborhood, to know the history of the Southside neighborhood in Spartanburg and how our congregation came to purchase property and to be here, the role that we have had in this neighborhood over decades, particularly building relationships with leaders in this neighborhood, being a regular participant in the neighborhood association, and finding ways to partner to support those leaders and to support a vision of mutual thriving for us all in this part of Spartanburg, in our city. And part of that means being in relationship with Carver Middle School, a historical school located just a mile from where we are today. This past Christmas Eve, we held a special offering in support of students at Carver to provide meals for those students who would not have enough to eat over the winter break without some additional support. Your generosity has provided for those students and their families over the winter. And this month we share the plate again on behalf of Carver, its students, and its teachers. Half of all of the free loose offerings in the plate and all designated gifts will go to support Carver and the many programs that we're a part of there. I urge you to give. And I want to welcome today Mr. Randy Edwards, principal of Carver Middle School, to speak with us. He is our honored guest. Just one thing about this remarkable man. Before he was principal, he was organizing walks in the neighborhood to get to know neighbors and to build relationships with folks, to help Carver find connections, to build the network of resources that would support the students who would be in his care. And when he became principal, his energy and dedication only increased. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Randy Edwards, principal of Carver Middle School.
Good morning to you all.
Good morning.
It is an incredible honor to be standing in front of you. I feel just so humbled. The love in this room is phenomenal. I'm getting chills right now. So I'm just grateful to be here with you all. I'm honored that you guys would invite me, Minister Neely, Ms. Pam and Fred, to invite me to come and share with you all just a little bit of my heart for Carver and, in a greater sense, my heart for this community. My name is Randy Edwards, Jr. Some of you I know, some of you I don't. I see Colin there, who also works for District 7. Grateful to see him. I grew up in this community. I was born and raised right here in this community. If you come up to Converse Street and go down to the bottom of the hill where the park is, you get to Ridgewood Avenue. And I grew up on that road, a number of houses on that road. I grew up on a number of houses because growing up, you know, we got evicted from a number of houses. I don't know. I didn't even realize growing up that I was in poverty, right? I didn't think about it, just growing up. But I remember coming home from Pine Street School one day, and I had the key to get into the house, and I was the first person to see the eviction notice posted on the door, you know. And so I remember calling my mom and my dad, and they say, well, walk down to the neighbor's house, and my grandmother lived down there. So I've lived in a number of houses here on Alexander, Ernest L. Collins, Ridgewood, and on Converse. I've lived all through this neighborhood. My aunt still lives on Ernest L. Collins. My grandmother, until she was placed in a nursing home, lived right on the corner of Ridgewood. So this community is mine, right? Like I do feel a sense of ownership for this community. So I grew up here. I went to Pine Street. And funny story, after Pine Street, and if you guys know anything about, you know, District 7 and the schools here, a lot of the Pine Street students matriculate to McCracken Middle School. And so a lot of my friends were at Pine Street. And so my mom registered for me for McCracken. I wanted to go to McCracken. And about a few weeks before school started, she got a letter in the mail stating that because I lived right here on Ridgewood, I was zoned to go to Carver. And I remember when I got that letter, I immediately started crying. When my mom said, you have to go to Carver. And she went and she fought it. She actually met with the superintendent and tried to get me into McCracken. And they said, no, we're going to follow the zoning lines, and you're zoned for Carver. Your son's going to go to Carver. And I remember I hated it. Right, just the decision, I hated it. And so I remember that first day at Carver, sometime in that first week, and the transition from elementary school to middle school is a big transition, right? Because in elementary school, you kind of stay in the same classroom all day, you get the same group of people, but in middle school, you're moving through 6, 7 periods a day, depending on where you are. You get, it's 4 or 5 different teachers. It can be that 5th to 6th grade transition is a big one. So I remember for me, I was in 6th grade. I think a few days through that year, I'm still not settled, right? I don't want to be there. I don't really know. I don't have any friends here. I don't want to be at Carver. Why am I here? My friends at McCracken. And I think I came out of 3rd period. And I came in the hallway, and I'm getting ready to walk to my 4th period. And I come out of the classroom, and I look up, and my dad is walking down the hallway towards me. My dad is walking down the hallway because he knew that I didn't want to be there. And he said, I want to be a part of making sure you feel safe here in this building, that you know that I'm behind you, I love you, I want you to do well. And mind you, my dad never graduated high school. My dad dropped out of high school in the 9th grade. Because he had my oldest sister at that time, and so he dropped out to go and work in a plant, Reeves Brothers. I don't know, was that StarTex, and then he went to Reeves Brothers. You're familiar with the community when the textiles mill, they were still up and running around that time. So StarTex out in Duncan, and then Reeves Brothers, and that's what he did. He worked in the mills, and so he stayed with me that day. He went from that period to my 4th period. Then he went to lunch with me, and then he stayed with me for the rest of the day. He got to know some boys. He brought us all together. He helped us become friends, and we're still friends to this day. And my dad was one that helped me feel comfortable at Carver Middle School. And so 3 years later, I ended up leaving Carver, going to the high school, and now even as an adult, I look back on my 3 years at Carver, and it's probably one of the best 3 years of my life. It changed me. It helped me to know a lot of who I am. It helped me to shape the identity that I currently have in myself. It helped me to believe in what this community stood for and what this community could be. And so I went from not wanting to go to Carver to I feel in my role, I want to be, not even have to be, I want to be the biggest advocate for Carver Middle School and what it can stand for and what this Southside community could be. It's crazy. I stand here in front of you through a series of events. In 2020, my dad, who clearly means a lot to me, he passed away. He was only 56 years old, but he passed away due to COVID. And he had diabetes and a lot of underlying conditions, but he was diagnosed with COVID and did not recover from COVID. And so that was July of 2020 that my dad passed away. And so I went into this period of just grieving, right? Really, really grieving the loss of this great man in my life. And so what I did was I started to run. I started just to run miles and miles, because it just gave me a chance to be with me and my thoughts and grieve my dad. So I would just run and run. And I kept running. And so eventually I decided, well, I'm going to run a marathon in honor of my dad. And I did. In May of 2021, I completed the Myrtle Beach Marathon, 26.2 miles in honor of my dad. And that really helped me through this grieving process. And so on the other side of that marathon, I came to a place where this benefited me so much, I did not want to keep it to myself. And so I began to organize, as Minister Neely said, these walks and these runs through the community, starting right down here at Southside Park, or at South Converse Park. And we called it 2 Mile Tuesdays. And so we would go a mile up and a mile back. And I just put it on Facebook. And I met people through these walks that I had never met before. And it just opened doors that I had never knew were there. So Miss Tony Sutton and Miss Pam began to come and walk with us. And this is before I was ever principal. I was just an AP at the school, and I just wanted to do this and to build community, just to build and strengthen the Southside community. And those connections that I met that I made doing that walk is truly, truly, truly changed my life. And so a few months after I began to organize those walks, the Carver job was posted. I applied, and gratefully, I was named the next principal of Carver Middle School. What I can't explain is just how all of those connections that I made before just continued to align right behind Carver and where Carver is going. And so when I lead Carver, guys, I don't lead Carver just as another job. Again, I went there. This was my community. This is my school. I have a huge, huge, huge just feeling of ownership, of pride, of I want to see Carver and this community do well, but I know I can't do it alone. And I just cannot express how much gratitude I feel for this group. If I can go down the list of what you guys do, even just this week, Ms. Pam, and she brings someone along with her, but they come and they give snacks to the teachers once a month. And you don't know how much. Like, after you left, Ms. Pam, an email went out that, hey, we have snacks. Like, you just don't know every period. They're like breaking down the door to the the workroom. Oh, we got cookies, and oh, it's bananas, and just those small things can just change your day as a teacher, that somebody would think of you enough to bring you a snack in the middle of the day. It's incredible. I know Miss Denise German, and she leads a reading program, a tutoring program, along with our after-school group, and it is phenomenal. We do have a number of kids, and this is part of the mission of Carver, that I tell you, our last data, on our last iReady, I think we're down to about 52% in Tier 3. What that means is that we have 52% of our kids who are 2 or more grade levels behind in their reading ability. So where they should be reading on a 6th grade level, they're currently reading on a 4th grade level or below, right? That is what the test shows us. So we have our work cut out for us. And so to have someone like Miss Denise German say, hey, we'll show up, give us a few kids, and we'll just help and tutor them in reading. I know we have Miss Pennington and Miss Rockwell, who also help and tutor with math. And there's another reading program that started up. Like, you guys have just rallied your arms around how can we help Carver in any kind of way. When those boxes of food showed up right before the Christmas break, you know, it was wild. It's crazy. Me and my wife, we were with someone last night. We were kind of touring their home, and they were homeschooling, and we were sharing about, well, homeschool, you know, is beneficial in a lot of ways. Why? Because you don't know, you know, what all is happening in the school system and this and that. But I shared for my kids, though, those 7 or 8 hours that they are at Carver Middle School sometimes is the safest 7 or 8 hours they will experience all day. And so for a lot of us, the teachers, like, okay, I got to get back up to go back to work in January. There were kids who were like, I can't wait to go back to school because I know I'm going to eat. I know I'm going to be loved. I know I'm going to see friends. I know I'm going to feel safe. I know I'm going to have an after-school program. I know there's going to be structure there. And so I try to help myself and the teachers continue to turn our minds around that there are kids that need what we do. Right? It's not just that we can offer it or that they have to come. They truly need what we have at Carver. And so for you guys to bring, I forget how many boxes of food, but they were stacked up in that main office. And we had a counselor and our parent intervention, our parent facilitator, go out and deliver those boxes directly to homes to make sure that those kids had food. To last them over the 2 weeks of Christmas break. Phenomenal. Like, you can't put words behind things like that. You can't put enough gratitude behind things like that. It means the world to those families. It truly does. And so I stand here on behalf of the teachers at Carver, the families at Carver, the students at Carver, just to simply to say thank you. Thank you that you all feel the call to serve, that you all feel the call to help, that you feel the call to be a good neighbor to this community. This Southside community needs good neighbors. There's so much rich history in this community, an incredible amount of history. And I want to get back to, not even back, it's just sharing the stories, because it is still happening, of leaders, of incredible pillars still coming out of this community, and the value that is in this community now. As I was becoming a teacher, one of the things I wanted to promise myself, because I always wanted to work in Title I or neighborhoods like this, that A lot of times we go in and we feel like we have to be a savior, right? Like we have to save this community and save this school and save these kids, and it couldn't be further from the truth. And it doesn't work when you come in with that mindset. It only works when you come in and you see the value that's already there, and you just say, I want to partner with that value, and how can I help? And I think that's the attitude that we want to have at Carver, and I know that that's the attitude that you all have, and what I've experienced from this congregation at Carver is that you just want to say, how can we be a helping hand? How can we be a good neighbor? How can we help you guys achieve what you want to achieve? And I can say 100% is working. The needle is moving. We are on our way to really showing this community, showing the world just the greatness that's at Carver Middle School and that's in the Southside community. I don't want to take too much time. I can talk all day. I really can. I can share so many stories, but I'm just so grateful for you all, and I'm grateful for this partnership, and we want to continue this partnership in every way possible. So thank you all for what you do. Thank you for your love that you've shown to Carver. Carver is grateful. I appreciate you all.
We will now receive our offering.
Many days and nights, drifting endlessly, left our homeland behind. In this crowded boat on a hostile sea, now we are young refugees. Our destination is Singapore, but will we reach the shore to feel solid ground beneath our feet? We know it's a lot to hope for. Suddenly 2 ships sail into view, but are they friends or foes? A Zen Buddhist monk named Thich Nhat Hanh has come to our rescue. This loving monk taught the middle way, and to meditate each day. But the lesson learned that's the best of all is when we all say namaste. Namaste.
If you want to help at the effort, Carver, see Pam Stoll. Join me in silence. breathe. When he was a little child, maybe only 3 years old, a young boy in Vietnam saw an image of the Buddha seated. And something in that image resonated with his own being. And his reaction to seeing that man seated in peace was, I want to be like that. I want to be a person of that equanimity and peace. And so when he was only a little bit older, barely a teenager, this boy, not yet a man, became a monk in Vietnam. And of all the things that he learned, all of the scripture that he studied and all the philosophy that he developed, all the wisdom that was inculcated in him, of all of that, the fundamental thing that he learned was just how to breathe. The basic practice of breathing. And we all do it. Every day, every moment, we do it. There, in his aspiration to become a person of peace and compassion, he learned to just slow down and breathe. And it served him well. As he developed awareness of his breath, he developed awareness of the colonial French presence in his country and the devastation that it wrought to the villages and the lives all around him. And as that colonial regime collapsed, he watched the Cold War incur and the Vietnam War break out, and watched villages and forests and lives burn. And he breathed. He breathed. And in his breathing, he saw that every life mattered, no matter what side of the war each was on. And that every person mattered, no matter what ideology shaped them. And he spoke out on behalf of a way forward for his country that would offer possibility for everyone, no matter which side of the lines of war they stood. And for this, he was cast out of his country, exiled by both sides, and sent out into the wider world for the rest of his life. Made to wander. And in his wandering, every day, like every one of us, just to breathe. And out of his breathing came love, and came teaching, and came community, and came organization, and came action, until he became a leader for peace and compassion, recognized the world over, a person who has directly impacted many of us sitting in this room, a person whom at least two of us have sat in the presence of before in our lives. This month, we are finishing 13 months of auction sermons. You can celebrate if you're sick of it. Every year we hold an auction, and people have the opportunity to bid on sermons, and they get a month of reflections because I'm slow. And one person has waited for more than a year and a half for her sermon. Alice Sutton asked that I speak about the Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh, and particularly his life as a refugee, a person exiled from his country, a person sent to wander across the face of the globe, and to interweave his story with the lives of other refugees with whom we share this earth. It's good timing. Last month, we did talk about joy through the lives of two other world-renowned spiritual leaders who also have been exiles and refugees. Desmond Tutu, whose resistance to the apartheid regime in South Africa led to him having to leave his country just to live, and then his brave return to fight for justice in his homeland. And the Dalai Lama, who now has lived in exile from his native Tibet for more than 56 years. And we see how the lives of these men, the suffering they've experienced, the hard reality of the world that they turned to confront, led them to deep wisdom and even joy that we experience through their teachings and their presence. This month we will work with a third such leader. The teaching of Thich Nhat Hanh is about how our lives are connected. And so it is right for Alice to ask that we think not only about one spiritual genius, but about the truth of all of our lives, the wisdom of all of our lives. We see at our nation's southern border the lives of thousands of people fleeing their homelands, seeking refuge and asylum because of violence and impoverishment, climate change, all of the pressures we can imagine come to bear on them. And they come seeking hope. We see people moving from sub-Saharan Africa towards the shores of Europe. We see people moving all across the face of the earth looking for home. And we see the rise of ultranationalism, of far-right politics, of xenophobia, the ugly face of racism in all of its manifestations around the world as one response to our fellow human beings seeking sanctuary. The question they are all asking with their lives is, where do I fit? Where is my place on this earth? The Dalai Lama from exile said, wherever you are received as a friend, that is your country. And wherever you receive love, that is your home. Will these fellow human beings find a country of friendship? Will there be a home of love for them? And these kids at Carver, 1 mile from us right now, all through the neighborhood in which we are sitting now, have they found a country of friendship? Is this a country of friendship for them? Have we offered them a home of love? This month we're going to think about how interconnected our lives are and what we can offer each other. Now I've come in for some critique of late, not unwarranted, I'm proud to say, because we have gone hard on social justice since the pandemic. And I offer no apology because, watch the news. There's a lot for us to do. But there's a lot more to us too. In the lives of the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu and Thich Nhat Hanh and the lives of every person at every border show us that our works of hospitality, our works of prayer and meditation, our works of welcoming our children in RE and maintaining facilities and providing places of song and sanctuary, all of these things are part of that work of justice. And that work of justice informs and fuels all of those things. Our ministry is not in silos. It's not separate. It works together and feeds each other. And we will work on that this month together too. The way all of these pieces interweave as our lives do. Today we begin with the lesson of that young adolescent monk who would become a teacher for us all, who would become the embodiment in the eyes of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the living Buddha on earth, he said of Thich Nhat Hanh in his nomination for him for the Nobel Peace Prize. That young boy who has so much to offer us about learning and justice and worship and care and governance. He rooted it all in just being a person who breathes. We are surrounded by a world that seems chaotic, that longs for justice and struggles to find it, and by the yearning in ourselves to be people who embody peace and compassion, to be Buddhas in this world. The best action we can take is to slow down and recenter in our breath. Breathe with me again today. And let us sing.
Tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free, tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find the place, in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, and by turning we come out right.
In, out, deep, slow, calm, ease, smile, release, present moment, wonderful moment.
We have spent time
Together, and these holy moments give us strength to go.
Winding road until we meet again. And my prayer for you in a peace that's true until we meet again.
Sydney was offered a job at another church. And they, listen. And they offered her way more than we could ever offer. And she negotiated that she will be with us once a month anyway. Aaron and Sydney, who have worked together so well for so many years now through the pandemic, worked out a whole schedule before they even told me that Sydney had another position. And that Sydney had negotiated to still be with us anyway. I can't believe the other congregation said yes. And in that same conversation, Aaron said, and Taffy Rook, who has played at other UU congregations, is in our community and would like to play. Randy spoke about going to Carver and how much he loves his dad and how much he cares about this community. And it reminded me that I also went to Carver. And I also love my dad. And I also want us to be for this community. The world is full of so much possibility and anxiety. When we gather and slow down and touch the heart of it all again, just our breath, look at the connections and the power we can find.